Here she comes. We didn't want to start without you. All right. You look pretty cool today.
Thank you.
How's the foot?
Good. It's really good. I think you're getting well.
Yeah, well, God in time.
Yep.
All right, folks, let's get underway. 10:36, pretty close to on time. Don't forget to turn your gadgets off. We have paperwork. Mr. Curran is the one to go to. We're going to begin with Mr. Curran doing the invocation. The pledge will be done by Mr. Harrison. If you wish to join in either or both, please rise.
Stronger than I thought.
Okay, let us pray. Almighty God, you are our creator and our sustainer. You are our light and our fortress. You are our wisdom and our strength. We ask for your guiding hand to lead us through this meeting. May we approach our tasks with wisdom, and may we approach our members with respect. May our conduct create an environment of cooperation and kindness. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work this day. We ask these things in your powerful name. Amen.
Amen. Please join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, men. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Bell,
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freeling. Present. Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman. Majerick.
Here.
Ott.
Here.
Chokwe.
Here.
Pittsburgh, Commissioner Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Ballrap. Werfel. Here. Yarborough.
Present.
Elliott.
Mac is here.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 present and 1 absent.
Thank you. Minutes from a week ago. Any changes? Is there a motion to approve?
We accept the minutes.
February 2nd minutes, motion by Majerick, second by Pitchford. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, have we communication?
We have none for this week.
Very good, thank you. Annette, requisitions?
Good morning. Does anybody have any questions about the requisitions beside Commissioner Curran?
No.
Commissioner, she was kind.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Before I lose track of this thought in my mind, because a balloon could float by and then I'd be distracted. I'm told that someone from New Buffalo is monitoring our doings this morning.
Oh, yeah.
A man who has a T-shirt that says, "I have a question." So let's all wave to Ezra.
Hey, Ezra.
Hi, Ezra. Okay.
Oh,
Before we get to public comments regarding resolutions, request to amend the agenda to include an update from Jill Adams, that is, concerning matters involving park improvements. Is there a motion moved by Werfel? Is there support? Supported by Volrath? Do we need a roll on that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, roll call, please.
Curran.
Yes.
Freeling. Yes. Harrison.
Yes.
Majerick.
Yes.
Ott.
Yes.
Pitchford.
Yes.
Ballrap.
Yes.
Werfel. Yes. Yarborough.
Yes.
Bell.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas.
thank you. The agenda is amended. Jill, you have some news, I understand.
Can I interrupt before she gets going?
Sure.
All right, so Jill is going to talk to you all about some pretty exciting news. Before she does that, I'm going to just brag about Jill for a minute. So Jill does an excellent job of running the park system. She does an excellent job of making sure that training for all of her staff, lifeguards, all of the staff are getting done on an annual basis. She does just a variety of things extremely well. What as I wasn't expecting when the county promoted her into her current role. is that she would also be extremely good at softball. She has officially shown her ability to hit home runs. So Jill's going to talk to you all about news that just came out of Lansing this morning. Jill, fire away.
And Jill, before you do that, we also thank you for sharing Captain Adams with us. He does great work through the EOC.
You're
and,
welcome.
We have occasion to talk at all hours of the day and night.
Yes.
So we appreciate that you lend him to us. Go ahead.
We received news this morning about the Spark Grant, which is a grant that's focused on parks and recreation around the state. We applied for 2 grants back in December for funding through Spark. And out of the 480 applications, one of ours was chosen. There's 21 recommended. We were recommended for the award. And the award that's recommended is the playground replacement at Silver Beach County Park. And that playground is 30 years old. It's held up fantastically. It's past its lifespan, and we continue to put funding into it for improvements every year and replacement parts. Now we can look at, here's some ideas as we are putting together the overall Silver Beach Master Plan, what we would like to see. And some of the aspects we will be including in this new playground is hard surface or safety surface accessibility, ramping, some new features that weren't available 30 years ago. There's a lot of exciting things with playgrounds these days. And we'd also like to incorporate some shade. This playground in 2021, we had 728,000 people come to the park, and many of them were children. They enjoy this. My son he's 13. He grew up on this playground, and we're excited to get that replaced and get some new features in there. We've worked with a lot of local groups to get some ideas put together for this playground. And I've met with 3 separate playground design companies on site. So they've given us a lot of feedback, pricing, and that kind of thing. So we're excited about jumping into that project. Any questions?
Is it around 850?
850,000 is what we applied for, and that's being recommended for
Great,
us.
great. Good job.
The overall project will be, the price quotes that we received for what we want to do is about $1 million. So there will be some local match from the Parks Department.
What number was it?
850,000.
What number application was it?
Based on the email, it appears that she was number 1. Some might argue that it's alphabetical. I won't accept that. Number 1. She did great.
Thanks,
Any
Jill.
questions?
Someone may have a question or two before you leave,
Sure.
but anyone around the table have any questions, or around the horn, around the horseshoe?
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jill. Public comments about resolutions. Does anyone have any? Hearing none, haven't been told about pulling anything from this voluminous consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve it? Moved by Pitchford. Is there support? Supported by Warfel. Any discussion? Ma'am.
On resolution B2302065, I wish to abstain from requisition 63392 for Rev excavation in the amount of $15,000, again, out of an abundance of caution. And I've noted that and have sent that to the clerk to make record of that as well.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that in mind, if there's no further comment or discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Ott,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Walrath,
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 yeas.
Thank you. Madam Chair of Finance, you want to lead us off?
Yes, I do. We had a great meeting. We had so many things and got a lot of information. Spent a lot of money. And so I'm asking my committee, we each have a portion that we're going to do, and I'd like to start out. Our administrator came a number of times in and out of bringing us things. Shirley White, our treasurer, we're her parent committee, and quarterly she reports to the finance committee. And she has this wonderful sheet, and you can read it as well from over there as I can up here, but it's the banks. The county has their money in a lot of banks all over, so that not just the insurance, it doesn't match that what the insurance will cover, but this is what we do. And what we have invested is, I'm not kidding, 48 million. I can't see it. Almost $49 million. Is that it?
At least.
Yeah. Or is that billion? Is that more?
Million.
Millions.
Million.
48 million invested in money markets. She said, and that's good to do because right now the rate of interest has gone up. And one of us will give you this piece of paper, or you can get it from the treasurer, because there are some that have not been moved or invested. You can see where they're only receiving 1 point something rate of interest. And she's looking at all of that and has advisors and is doing, the best that she can with our dollars. And then, it's foreclosure time. March 31st is the final day that someone can pay off their 3 years of taxes that they're behind or go into a payment plan. There will be right now, there are about 480 properties, and some still have structures on them. Last year when we went to auction, we had 100 at about this time, and then 80 went into the auction. She's hoping that there will be more people making agreements or paying their delinquent taxes off. She has met right in this building with a number of people, and they entered into plans. And she said it's heartbreaking to listen to, people's troubles and what all the things that have happened, but they work all they can. And she has joined with the Veterans Department. And so they've had meetings there in that new room with veterans and people that didn't know they could do this or do that. Also, the treasurer is going February 18th to the Niles Library from 11 to 2. And hopefully the Niles Library will advertise it, and she will, and the press is here, that they'll make people aware so that they can go again and enter into a payment plan or understand better what they owe and why. They all know, because we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on postage stamps, sending first-class mail saying this, is what's going, this is where it's happening. And then another thing that you can do, you can go to court on February 14th. You can go to court and meet with Judge Schrock. It's just open for foreclosures, and that's another one of the steps that are required. And again, the judge can give you a payment plan, or if you're saying I don't owe this, and reverse it, and he'll listen to all that and do what he chooses to do. I'm just trying to see. There is going to be a Zoom. There is, you see these flyers and things on the counter. There's one with the picture of a man, and it's ARPA money to help people with their mortgages, with their taxes, with their electricity. And the application is on the computer. Many people, my age or whatever, or other ages, and I'll say age, can't work the computer, or they don't have one. And so what the treasurer has done, they have set up through some company called Telemon, they'll do Zoom appointments in about 3 per each time that they do it. And there were 3 slots available, and they're all filled up. But they'll come here to the Veterans Office and be on the computer, and the person will help them fill this form out so that it can happen. And the treasurer says she knows it works because people have come in with this tax money and been able to pay on their taxes. So please let people know about that. We're just the treasurer's doing all she can to make it, where people can get help, and hope they will go into a payment plan. And even if it gets paid off or caught up, that they'll just keep doing that. And that way you won't be behind 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. She told us about the Riverview, she kept saying condos, but about the captain's table. There are 88 units there. This is on Riverview Drive, Benton Harbor. 88 units, and 53 are owned by the treasurer. And then the balance are by individuals who I think are sitting on them. And if somebody wants to buy the building, they're going to have to buy them out of it because no one lives there legally. And so they're working on that because she said nothing can be done until the city issues condemnation and issues a thing about demolition. And this is an aside, but my thought, I watch HGTV all the time. I already did what we ought to do is an upstairs and a downstairs and a balcony and a spiral staircase and make them into condos and units. You're on the river, you're on the water, rather than pushing it over, because I think it's built like, out of concrete blocks, a good solid building. But it's a sore thumb, and that's where it is. Just wanted to let you know that. And then that's the treasurer's report. What do we have? We have, I want to ask Commissioner Freeling, and she will tell us about Chris Swihart from the IS department.
Absolutely. So also in our meeting today, we had Chris Swihart in to discuss a request for a waiver. As you may remember, we had hired Platt Moran to help to build an RFP as it relates to implementing assistance to migrate Berrien County to Microsoft 360 government cloud platform. There's multiple phases of this, and one of the first phases is user authentication. I'm saying it wrong. Yes, services, basically so that we have two factors as we're authenticating ourselves, as we're entering in on the system. And so Plant Moran had recommended that we make this purchase for the cloud user license. And so Chris brought to us this memo that highlights why they're seeking a waiver. And they're going to move forward with Azure. Anyhow.
Yeah, that company.
And so what they are providing is this service for 864 license, because it has to be with each email that we have for the county. And what Chris wanted to highlight of note is it's going to be for this one phase a cost annually of about $55,000 to license this phase one service that we need. It's a requirement. All governmental units are kind of migrating to this. And as we add additional services for different phases, I think he mentioned there's 3 phases of this project, the license costs will increase. And so the 365 government cloud services is subscription based. And so it will be a recurring fee that the IS department is going to have in their annual budget. And so he wanted to make that be highlighted to this board because it's not something that's a one-time cost. But Kip, who also was in there, had mentioned he serves on one of the task force committees working through this. He sits on calls monthly, and they're discussing about how to fund this, because some of this funding is eligible for ARPA reimbursement, but some of it is not. And so they're looking at how the state is going to help to implement this, as it's a requirement for us for security purposes. I hope I've done a good enough job to report that. Thank you.
Do you have anything to add about what Chris talked about? Okay. Then the next thing was that Dan Fetty came in, and in June of 2022, we authorized our community development department to prepare and submit an application for $2.6 million. No, $600,000 through the Michigan Strategic Fund. And that's through Michigan Economic Development. And the money came. We knew we had received it, but we got the money. And so next week, we're going to ask you all to accept Resolution F2302144. Because what's going to happen, this was written with the city of Benton Harbor, the city of Niles, and Cornerstone Alliance to do some things in their downtown areas. And so 1.3 million will go to Niles and 1.3, I keep saying that 1,300,000 will go to the city of Benton Harbor and the city of Niles. Marion County is involved in this with the helping of the writing and all. And we usually charge an administration fee for when we help people with grants and help them run them. And so we're taking a very small amount. I think he said 38,000 for working with this, so that all the money that can stay in those cities. And those are the things we talk about doing that alley or doing programming or doing, I think it's more on construction. There are some buildings in Benton Harbor, the backs are weak and going to fall down. So they have a number of things that they mean to do with this. And next week, we will accept the resolution that's making the money come loose. Our next area, I'd like to ask Commissioner Bell if he would talk to us about the waivers and the bids that we opened.
Yeah, so we had two bid openings today. One is for the 2023 Kawasaki Mule. That's from the Board of Public Affairs Department. And both of those projects would motion to be sent back to staff for further acceptance. That's
Yeah, we had some waivers. It was about 15 radios through Motorola Solutions. AIS construction equipment repairs for a chip spreader and Telerad bidirectional amplifier. So we concurred and agreed all these things will be ordered and done. That's our report.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Personnel and Human Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also met this morning and conducted our business. So we had several resolutions from the Health Department. One, they're amending their contract for strategic planning to add a few other additional activities, one for family services, one for environmental health, and the other for community health. So this would increase the cost. The final proposal is still below what the other two competing bids that they received. So they have money in their budget to support that. The other is a motion that will come to you next week. This is our consideration and approval of the fee schedule for the Health Department. If you remember, they
adjust those annually. We approve those or review and approve them. And then for individuals that are paying their own bills, there is a sliding scale to reflect their ability to pay. Otherwise, it ends up being invoices to insurance companies. We also considered the pension refunds and rollover requests and approved those. We approved an advanced step hire for the health department. This is a sanitarian who's coming back to work here, but there was a break in service, so he has to be brought in. It considered as a new hire, and so we did review and approve that. We also looked at the commissioner per diems and approved those. And then also, if you remember, there was some discussion regarding commissioner mileage and as well as individuals appointed to the various committees on behalf of the county. So we considered several different alternatives, trying to, I guess, make sure that they're fair and equal to everyone. And so the recommendation from the committee is that all mileage now becomes a taxable event for the purposes of the Internal Revenue Service in the state of Michigan. I'm trying to adjust those to reflect those commissioners who travel some distance to get to meetings, and trying to make it, equal and fair was and easy for the administration to manage. And the general consensus was to just make it all mileage would become taxable. And so that will be the recommendation we'll be putting forward.
Any questions for PHS? Mr. Chair of Administration.
Thank you, Matt. We met this morning, and first in to see us was our Road Department Director, Mark Heiliger, and Commissioner Werfel would like to report out on that.
Thank you. Well, snow has been cooperating, so the road department hasn't had a lot of overtime, so that's kind of good for all of us, right? But they are working on all of the construction projects for summer. So they're putting all those plans together with the townships and starting to put those out to bid. So I'm sure those will be coming through finance soon. He mostly talked to us about personnel. Right now, they are 8 for 8 on the CDL training. So the 8 people that they've hired over the last 6 months since the fair all have passed their CDLs. They have current openings, medium equipment operators, 1 seasonal and 2 full-time, a mechanic, a couple of engineers, and they have 2 offers out to some engineering techs. So they're working also on a salary analysis for those engineering positions and other positions as well. So to get the road department taken care of, because that was not a part of the former salary study. Couple other things, Linco and Lincoln, major accident area that most of us in Lincoln Township know about. They just had another accident. If they have one more accident before May, it will be a 4-way stop. So they're at the point of, I guess enough people have had property damage and probably loss of life, because that is a horrible intersection. He also reported out to us that we have 265,345 feet of guardrail in the county, in case you wanted to know that fun fact. They just did a reassessment of all of it, and 41% was in good condition, 54% was in fair, and 5% was poor. However, that 5% is down from 10% from the last analysis, which was done in 2020. That's my report.
How many feet do we have?
265,345 feet.
Wow.
Look for that on Jeopardy tonight.
So that's 90,000 yards of guardrail. Wow.
5,208 feet in a mile.
Yeah, that's true. So
right.
that's about,
Yeah, moving right along. Since everybody's fascinated with guardrails, we do have a resolution that will be coming before you next time. This is just a service agreement with Entrado for the 911 center. It's a 1-year contract in the amount of $79,566.09. And we have used Intrado before. That's not anything new. Brian was in to see us and provided us with a page out of the facility needs, talking about the jail. And he also provided everyone with Grand Traverse County. He asked us to take a look at that. Commissioner Werfel made a couple of excellent points that I think we're probably gonna pursue. Because this was just given to us, we haven't had a chance to talk about it. So I think at our next admin meeting, we'll at least take a minute to discuss the plan. Because what Commissioner Werfel suggested, and I wholeheartedly agree with her, is maybe to have a workshop where we can prioritize a lot of the projects, a lot of the facilities, a lot of things that we have going on right now. Because we didn't do a strategic planning. We did for ARPA money, but we have not for the county. So we don't have a strategic plan to fall back on. So we probably need to look at that in addition to the facilities and having that discussion. So we will talk about it at our next admin meeting and then probably set up a committee of the whole so we can all talk about it and prioritize our facility needs. And that is our report.
I was guessing about 50 miles. Brian calculated it's a little over 51 miles of guardrail. So, yeah.
I think it should be noted that the guy that wears the "I have a question" T-shirt's not in the room, but I feel like the spirit of "I have a question" has taken over.
Yes, indeed. Well, we anticipated his questions and have attempted to answer them as best we can. Commissioner reports, Ray.
No report.
No report. Jim, you got a report? Jimmy?
No report.
Just checking.
Well, Monday. It'll be brief. One day this week, I attended a meeting at, for pipeline safety at the college, Mendel Center. There was like 80, 90 people there, and the sheriff was there, and Rocky was gracious and sat with me through dinner because I didn't know anybody there. But learned a lot about safety. If you've got a dig, call 811, and you do that within 3 business days before. If you wait 5 days, you got to call back again. So that's pretty much what you get out of it is what the guy said. And stuff goes downhill and stuff goes uphill. But it was a good meeting and had a good dinner. Jim says he attended a few of them, and it was nice. And then I did get an email yesterday. I was a little sad. Gladys Peoples-Burks has passed away. I served on a AAA board with her, area agency on aging, for the last 6 years, and she's been on it for like 20. But she was a force in the community in Benton Harbor for many, many years. Very kind, gracious lady, and we're all going to miss her. So that's my report.
Awesome. I had a Michigan Works meeting yesterday, and just a few little fun facts that came out of it. One, the labor participation rate is still lower than pre-pandemic. So that still means that there's a lot of people that have pulled out. You know, they're seeing a lot of retirements at 55 now since the pandemic. So there's still a lot less people working. So with that, they talked about the unemployment rates. Right now, the US, you've probably heard this number, is at 3.4%. Michigan is at 3.8, so we're a little higher as a state. Berrien, Cass Van Buren is at 4.3, and Berrien itself is at 4.3. So in fact, they said that the number of total jobs available right now in Berrien equals the number of people on unemployment. So again, that labor participation rate then affects that, because obviously all the people on unemployment don't match up with all the jobs that are available. So we need more people participating in the labor force to fix that. So that was some of the information coming out of Michigan Works yesterday.
Nothing report.
Brownfield is today at 12:30 if anybody's interested.
On Thursday, myself, Commissioner Bell, and Commissioner Kern attended the BC meeting for broadband, and we had a really busy meeting. As you may be aware, the state has opened the application round for the Robin Grant, which I've talked about a few times. It's 250 million that has been allocated. That needs, the application window closes on March 14th. So we are clipping along. We've got maybe what, 40 days, less than 40 days left to get the application submitted. And the way that the legislation is written, it is for the ISPs or the internet service providers to submit that application, looking for community support. So of course, that would be from the county if we wish to draft a formal resolution, reiterating our support of broadband for the whole county and connectivity. That would be something that will likely be coming to this board for consideration in the coming weeks. We heard from a few of the internet service providers talking about their interest and intent of perhaps applying for the Robin grants. And so what we have done for BCBIT is scheduled a special meeting on February 21st at 1:30 p.m. For those internet service providers to come to present to us their proposed service areas of funding. A map that basically tells us these are the areas we're really honing in on for our application. And it will then help us as a committee to make the recommendation to this board for that support for those applications moving forward. Bainbridge Township was also something that we discussed in this meeting. Bainbridge Township was one of the communities that the board approved for the sub-grant allocation of ARPA funds for broadband. They've been reviewing those RFP submissions, and through much deliberation, they went forward with awarding that contract to Comcast for Bainbridge to finish out building throughout Bainbridge Township. So I wanted to just let you know that we now have Orinoco Township and Bainbridge Township that are going to be built out hopefully by the end of this year. So that's awesome. And then also in the discussion, I know I've mentioned it the last couple of meetings, Tuesday, February 14th, the state of Michigan through the Michigan High-Speed Internet Office, MiHi, will be here on the 14th between 2 to 4 p.m. at room 103 to hear from citizens of Berrien County or interested parties to express their will of how the state should prioritize incoming broadband dollars through the BEAD grant and the Digital Equity Act. And so this is going to help them design their next 5-year action plan for the state. The program is called My Connected Future. And so it's us helping them prioritize how they're going to appropriate those dollars and spend them through the programs that exist. BCBIT also recommended drafting a letter to area communities. And so we're working on that and hoping to have that distributed by Friday. Is that correct, Brian? Okay. Basically expressing the Robin grant, what I've just shared here today, and that the internet service providers are going to be looking for local support, both through community letters of support, but also through resources and funding. And so in our sub-grants, we had a lot of those communities dedicate local match from their ARPA funds for their applications. And what we're asking them is to consider to continue to hold that as an earmark if these grants are successful for the internet service providers. The other thing that BCBIT is asking and recommending for this board to consider is that we continue to hold that $4.5 million that we have left of what we allocated of the $6 million of ARPA funds, that we then earmark that for a match for any successful ISP that applies for a grant, that we would be able to say, yes, we're willing to match that. In the Robin grant, it's a minimum of a 15% match, but we're hearing that it's likely going to be upwards to a 50% match for those grants to be possibly successful, because it is a competitive grant process. And so these are all things that we're working through BCBIT, but I wanted to make the board aware. And I think that is all of my notes. Oh, The one other thing that we're working on in BC BIT is private-public partnership and the definition of that. Because I think with all of the funding that's going to be coming for broadband, this is going to be an ongoing an ongoing requirement or consideration for funding. And so what does a private-public partnership look like for Berrien County? And that could be as simple as we encourage fiber to be the medium of choice, and then kind of prioritizing it from there. And we're also working on a roadmap that would be baked into to kind of help us navigate this journey of broadband. So sorry for the long report, but it's important. I thank you for your time.
And I thank you. Don't apologize. That's good. You went and you told us what's going on. I have no report.
Nor do I, but I do, reflecting on broadband, I remember 4 years ago, we said we need to get something going with this. And there was some pushback from people who are no longer with us. And we went ahead and did it anyway. Terry was involved at the outset, Jim, Ezra, now Ray. And just an observation, and taking nothing away from the other participants. I think we all benefit from the time investment and the attention to detail that Terry has brought to this undertaking. Just my 2 cents worth. Mr. Administrator.
Yeah, so this afternoon, we've got the new commissioners going to tour Empire. This is an orientation effort. We're going to see 911, emergency operations, and move back into motor pool, and then we'll go back up front to see printing and records. For any member of the board that's interested, curious, you're welcome to attend. Just let me know what you're thinking. We had planned to start at 12:30. I think we can probably get that done earlier. So that's the plan for today. For next week, we will be asking the board to go down and tour the road department garages. Mark is working on a final schedule, but the tentative plan is we're going to start you all in Baroda, then move to Eau Claire, and then down to Bakertown. We won't do the unmanned garages, just given time restraints. The bulk of you have responded. Over the next week, we will finalize the travel plan. My thought is we'll take a couple of cars between Mark's road department truck and then my personal vehicle. We can haul people. If you want to drive separate, that's absolutely fine. Whatever's best and most convenient for you. But my thought is we'll bring some snacks to keep you fed, and then move somewhat aggressively to get through these garages. I think we could have it done between 4 and 4:30, depending on how fast we move. I really, really want you all to see Eau Claire. That's the one I think that's the most important. But since we're heading that direction, it makes sense. We'll start in Baroda and hit the other two. For any of the orientation tours, if you are curious about an operation, let me know. I'm going to spend the bulk of the spring working with Chokwe and Alex to get them into all of our buildings. But to the board, you're always welcome. So just let me know. All right, that's all I've got.
Thank you. General public comments. Anyone wish to be heard? Okay, other business. Anybody have any?
I
Ma'am.
want to ask, and we've said this a number of times, are we going to have a retreat or come together? And something was just said today, Commissioner Werfel said that we ought to come together and talk about what we want to do.
So we serve at the whim of the board. So you all tell me what you want to do and we can make it happen. We do have your calendar all laid out for the year. So if
Just go to Love Creek, that's where we go and do things.
Well, after you get back from Italy, maybe we can do something.
Okay, all
Can we
right,
do that?
yeah.
All right. we're closed on President's Day.
Which is what?
And
February? December?
dress up day is March 9. I don't know if we have anything else. Let me see here. We
Oh,
started.
that's next, oh no, it's March,
March.
not February. We went to March, yeah.
All right, we started at 10:36. We can wrap up at 11:21.
Didn't even go an hour.
I think that means 45 minutes. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
next
did a lot.
Thursday at 8:35, we're done.
We got a lot done.
Thank you.